JKB back with another episode. Today on the show, I'm reviewing No Man's Sky. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to ANC Games for letting me come get the game from you guys. Also, huge shout out to your geeky tipster, Robert. Unbelievable guy. Unbelievable. Best. I can't describe this guy in the gaming community. Unbelievable. Thank you, Robert, so much. You know why. Those nudes were sexy. Let's just talk about No Man's Sky, because that's why I made a video, for fuck's sakes. Today, I'm going to be talking about No Man's Sky in a weird way. Now, a lot of people go into this game assuming it's a typical video game. There's a few different things I want to talk about in this review, and I don't think a lot of people are covering these topics. I'm not going to use gameplay footage. You already know what the game looks like. I'm not going to get into the details of, like, mixing this and this produces this. You know that you take items. You know it's a crafting game. You've probably seen other reviews already, so this is more of my final opinion of the game after playing it for 50 hours. And I do believe that after 50 hours, you see things that you will not see within 20 hours. So some of the people that reviewed the game that played it for 2 hours, 5 hours, they're not getting the full grand scale of the game, and I really do feel like it takes 50 hours. I'm not saying that the reviews are shit. I'm saying that the reviews are shit because they didn't experience everything in this game. Now, it really comes down to a few different gameplay mechanics. It comes down to space simulation and first-person shooter aspects, but it's neither of those really. The only way I could really explain what No Man's Sky is by simply telling you a story. When I was a young boy, and you know where this is going. When I was a young boy, I had no father. I miss my dad. I don't miss him, but I didn't have a father. My mom replaced my dad with video games, and when I had those video games, they took me to different places with my mind. My mind took me to different places based on the visual cues I was taking from video games. So we'd play, you know, I don't know, Rockman or Mega Man in North America, and you'd be transported to this just amazing experience with your friends on the playground, talking about, like, stealing their powers, because they were the villains, of course, and I was always the hero. And, you know, you'd shoot them in the playground, and you'd be imagining these things, using your imagination. You see what I'm getting at here, guys? I'm talking about imagination, childlike imagination, and that's where No Man's Sky did take me to a certain degree. Now, there's definitely aspects of this game that fall on their face, such as the multiplayer, which apparently is not in the game anymore. However, let me give you another story. When I watched E.T. for the first time, it made me believe in movie magic and magic in general, but it also made me believe that there was something out there when you would look up. There was something else. What was it? Was it E.T.? Maybe E.T. was going to come down and phone me for a fucking quickie at like 2 a.m. I don't know, but I used to dream of just going to other planets. Now, this is going to sound fucking crazy, but when I first popped in No Man's Sky and the game loaded up, I was on a planet, and as you know, of course, there's trillions of planets. There's like over 1 trillion planets that you can go to in No Man's Sky. How that works and why that's important, that's debatable. However, I woke up on this planet, my ship was damaged. Everybody starts the same. Your ship is damaged, you have to repair it, so it's a little bit of a tutorial to get you into the game. Once I got out of that tutorial and out of the cockpit, I realized that my suit was taking damage, that the atmosphere was causing damage on me. I had a certain amount of health. I had to deal with this very quickly. And that's where I seriously did get the feeling of this is really something else. I've played survival games, obviously, in the past. However, I'm on a planet that's the size of, like, Earth, and I can go anywhere. What can I do on these planets? Why am I doing this? What's this game really about? And it really made me think of being a kid in the playground playing with my friends again. I'm on this planet. There's absolutely no tutorial really to tell you what to do. There's tons of things that you can mine. Now, a lot of people on side here say that it's like Minecraft. However, it's a little like Minecraft. You can use your multi-tool to blow up little pieces of the ground and actually dig holes through the ground. So sometimes you'll notice that there's a deposit of gold, so if you want to get down to that gold, you'll bust a hole in the floor. Now, as I continued through this beginning mission, I was amazed. To be honest, guys. I was amazed. It looked beautiful. When I got in that ship and I got it working and I got off that planet and realized you can fly into space. Like, this is the first time you can do this in a game. I mean, maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe you can do it in a game, but for me personally, first time I ever experienced that. So 50 hours in, how am I feeling about the game? Honestly, there's something about No Man's Sky that I can't pinpoint, but it keeps driving me back to it. Is it the idea that I'm going to upgrade my ship and get to the center of the universe? Possibly, but there's something else to it. I don't know, I'm just one of those players that loves walking around in Fallout, loves fucking Skyrim to death. Just looking, that's all I do, look. And in this game, you can scan the animals and collect units. Now, units is the currency within this game. Very, very tricky to get units sometimes. However, some planets are complete gold mines, and you'll just constantly be mining over and over and over, and just getting gold and getting, you know, little items that you could sell back to this alien species that's on the planet. I've ran into like 3 different aliens, I think, different species of aliens. The story, though, I know a lot of people wanted to know what's the story like. There really is no story in this. The premise behind the game is simply get to the center of the universe. Now, there's something I'm going to say. This isn't a AAA title. This is a very independent studio with like 24 people. 24 people made this game, and in defense of No Man's Sky, they wanted to create exploration, and Sean Murray said when he was a kid he dreamt of going to other planets. This game brings you to other planets. Now, is it going to be boring for some people? Absolutely. And as I close out this review, I know I'm not covering everything that I'm just scratching the surface, so I'm probably going to do some live shows and play the game and talk to you about it, but it's a survival game that is really rooted in your imagination. You kind of come up with story as you're going through this. On each planet, you've got different species that you can feed. They'll give you extra credits. They'll give you extra rare items that you can use to upgrade all of the tons of upgrades that you'll have for your multi-tool. Now listen, in closing here, it's not really a good shooter. There's problems, major problems with the game. And I'm going to close it out here by saying major problems with the game in terms of how it controls. The ship is clunky. You can't crash into planets when you're going through space at like pulse speed, which is the fastest speed in the game, which you have to actually collect a ton of different items to turn that ship into such a powerful ship. Once you get the pulse generator on board, you can travel between galaxies, but you can also freaking fly almost right into a planet, but you can't crash into the planet. So some of my gripes with the game have to be, and I mean, I'm not talking about much because there's not much to do. You just walk around and look at things and fucking dig in a hole. But there's something about it. I can't pinpoint what it is. It's something. I don't know what it is, guys. Like, it's the hardest game I've ever had to review, and I've done it for 50 hours now, and I keep going back to it, and I can't explain what it is. It's the sense of adventure that they've really captured within the game, and that's why overall, unfortunately, I'll give the pros and the negatives here. The pros, it's an amazing experience to be had. It's not a AAA game. You have to understand this is an indie team that made this game, and the idea that an indie team of like 24 people made this for years and years and years with such passion, and let's forget about the negativity surrounding the game for a second. Once you look past that negativity, there's something at the core of this game that is inspiration, and Sean Murray definitely had that inspiration when he announced this game at whatever con that was or whatever it was, and I really do feel that within the game. The sense of adventure it's awesome. It's awesome to be able to just pop this in your system and walk around a planet, scan items, and figure things out. You can also go look for outposts on planets. There's, this is the one thing I wanted to talk about. After 50 hours, you start to see things you haven't seen in the first 20, 30, 40 hours. You start to see gold deposited below the surface of the planet. So you actually have to bust that planet open and actually mine through the ground. And you can only do that if you've upgraded your weapon to a certain degree. This is like... It's hard to explain, guys. It's one of the hardest games that I've ever had to review. It's just levels. It's one of these old school feeling games where you have no idea if you're really progressing or not. But the game really dolls it out in levels. And you'll notice the further you get into the center of the universe, the more odd, strange things are happening. The bigger the ships get in terms of how much you can hold within that ship. But the levels seem to be a little bit more alive, and I don't know if it's just my playthrough because the game is different for everybody, so it's very hard to say exactly what's going on. I mean, in closing, guys, the negatives, I have to give these out right now because a lot of people ask me so many questions about the game. It's very hard for me to give this a final score, but in terms of the negativity of the game, I do wish you could run into other players. Is it multiplayer? That's confusing as hell. I've watched tons of interviews with Sean talking about it being multiplayer and it isn't. Is that a straight out lie? That's a difficult thing to talk about because I see the passion in this guy's eyes when he talks about this game that he's worked on so much, and I have to give them props. This is an experience that you've never experienced before on a home console. It's close to Minecraft, but it isn't Minecraft. It's close to being a combat space simulator, but it's not even going in that direction. It's close to being a first-person shooter, but it isn't. It's all of those things, but dulled back with a sense of adventure. Now, what else did I like about the game? The controls in first person when you're aiming your gun are horrible. It's very difficult. It's flimsy. It's not. It's average, let's be honest on that one. Flying the ship, average. I mean, there's times where I want to crash into the planets. You can't do that. Again, it's a simulation survival game. However, there's so many little aspects of the game that they could have went with that could have made this so much better. If you took Destiny and made it with No Man's Sky, it'd be the best game ever made. However, Destiny was lacking the ambition of No Man's Sky, and No Man's Sky's lacking the first-person shooter elements that this game should have had, but I do understand his aspects of wanting it to be a sense of adventure, and not, the aliens don't necessarily need to be disgruntled. They don't need to be attacking you. It's about peace, really. It's about learning their languages. It's about figuring out what's going on each planet. Another negative aspect of the game is for hours on end, you'll be doing absolutely nothing except pointing your mining gun at rocks. Is that fun? To me, it kind of is. Now, positive, it really nails down the sense of adventure. Absolutely love collecting enough units to get a new ship with a bigger inventory system and upgrading your exosuit so you can last longer on planets that have high radiation or high levels of heat. Guys, listen, I've been blabbing and blabbing. I'm just going to give a final score right now. I called this before I even played the game based on everything I had saw of No Man's Sky. I was going to give it a 7, but now that I've played the game, I'm going to give it a hard 6.5 out of 10. It's just average, a little bit above that. It's not the type of game for everybody. Now, let's just calm down saying that this is supposed to be a AAA Sony, blow it out of the water, it's saving Sony for the holiday season. It's not about that. It's an indie team. It's not AAA. Sony didn't buy the studio. This could end up easily on Xbox One. I hear that it's horrible on PC, issues all over the place. This is the first time ever a game has hard crashed my PS4 where I had to unplug it from the wall, which is saying a lot. No other game has ever done that. Again, this is a team of like 24 people, and I do salute them for... Here's the final thought. I know I keep saying final thoughts, but my final, if you're sitting back complaining, or you're an Xbox fanboy or whatever, and you're a PS4 fanboy and you're a little disappointed, listen, how many of you out there can say you've made something so massive in terms of the inspiration that it's going to give to future games? This game right here may not sort of encompass everything that we hoped, but I'm guaranteeing you guys, studios that are AAA are looking at this game and they're going to rip it off like no tomorrow. Like Destiny Part 2, going to different planets, guaranteed they're going to fiddle with the idea of being in a ship or something like that. I'm telling you, this is the most inspiring video game that any dev could play, based on the fact that it was 24 people, and they really did nail the one aspect that that's all they wanted to do. They wanted to be a sense of adventure, and that's what this is. Mysterious planets, mysterious items, mysterious animals everywhere. Thank you so much for watching this review. I just wanted to come at you guys with thoughts directly from, I didn't want to take notes and blah 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 and ruin the experience. 50 hours in, this is how I feel about the game. 6.5. Thank you so much for watching. My next review is whatever it is, I have no idea. I've requested so many video games for you guys. I know that I'll be getting every Xbox game. The Last Guardian, I will definitely be reviewing that, and then whatever third-party games, Battlefield, and whatever. I'm going to be doing as much as I can. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time on JKB.